Good morning, everyone. Hello, everybody. I see Sean in chat. I see Alberto and Camilla and Akin. It's good to see you. Tanya, RB, Clarissa, Ashi, Jennifer Poole, Brie Weathers? I've never actually seen that name before. That's a cool name. Welcome in. Noor, it's good to see you. Thank you everyone for joining me. My name is Voodoo Val and I'm going to be your host again this morning for the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. I'm very excited to jump into what I have planned today. We're going to be doing a little bit of animation in the Photoshop timeline. But before I jump into the actual challenge, I want to show you how you can get involved in the challenge with me. So if you folks head over to behance.net/challenge/Photoshop, it will bring you to this page where you will have everything you need essentially to join the challenge. So you'll know that you're on the right page if it says the proper date at the top there under Daily Creative Challenge. We are working from March 30th to April 10th for this segment. And we've already done a handful of challenges. Basically every morning there will be a challenge unlocked for you. Every weekday there will be a challenge unlocked to you around about 8 a.m. Pacific time. And so far we've done a layers challenge. We made like a cool flyer for a fictional farming RPG farm. We did a color challenge where we took an image of a landscape and we changed it to make it look like it was in different seasons, which was fun. We used filters to create kind of a pixel sorting effect with pouring water, which was really fun. We used brushes to create kind of a line work, and then I showed you folks how to paint it in. We did that cool illustration of the crow. We used the liquify tools to create kind of a scarecrow type character yesterday. As you can see, all of the challenges that we're doing for these 2 weeks are kind of farming oriented. If you're fans of Stardew Valley or Harvest Moon or Animal Crossing, this is the farming RPG challenge for you. But I do want to point out that if you're not really into video games, you're not a farming RPG fan, that's totally fine. You do not have to theme your challenge entries based on that theme. I just wanted to add a little bit of fun to the challenges for those of you who are. So today, you can see for April 7th, we have animation. We're doing an animation challenge, and it says use the PS timeline to animate a plant sprouting or vegetable growing, which I'm very excited about. If you want to join me, all you have to do is hit this get started button and it will take you to where you can download the starter file that I have created for you. And if you need to come back and watch me work on the challenge for today, you can always come back and hit this watch video button. It will bring you to this recording so that you can rewatch. Last thing that I want to jump into before we start working on the challenge is join the Discord. If you have not joined the Discord yet, all you have to do is go to this URL, bit.ly/psdiscord, making sure that P and that S are capitalized so you go to the right server. And you can jump in here with us every day and share your awesome challenge entries. We've got a lot of really wonderful things coming in here. This is cool, Danish. Oh, you put a little hat on him. He's so cute. We've got, these are all these scarecrows and things that people created from yesterday. I love this. This is like a scarecrow for crops growing on the moon. It looks like that's what that looks like to me. That's awesome. Looks like Im's posted his entry for the illustration challenge for challenge 5 here. Looks awesome. Nice little helper scarecrow here. That looks great. That really looks like straw. You guys did a great job. Wow. And this is awesome. So this is kind of an example of how this person still did the challenge and mashed up a bunch of different images and applied filters to make them look like they belong without actually doing the farming RPG theme. So that's really great that you still participated and showed us what you wanted to do with those tools and with the lesson. This is awesome. This is like poltergeist kind of stuff. This is great. You guys are doing such a good job. Oh my gosh. This is awesome. Oh, wow. This is the illustration challenge. So I illustrated a crow and gave you guys the line art, and then this is awesome. This is really awesome. Well done. Very well done. This is so cool. But yeah, you guys can jump in here to the current challenge tab and see what everybody is working on for the challenges. I'm so impressed with everybody's work. But I do want to jump into what I have planned for today, just to make sure that I have time to cover all of the different points that I want to go over. So I'm going to page this down. This is the styler file for this challenge. Like I said, if you went to behance.net/challenge/Photoshop, you can hit that Get Started button on our animation challenge, and it will give you this. I've illustrated a handful of little sprouts for you folks. If I open up this layers panel over here, you can see it's numbered 1 through 7, and I can actually hide them and show them so you can see it's basically a progression of growing things, I suppose. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to put this into the Photoshop timeline and make it look like something is sprouting and growing. And then I'm also going to walk you through alternatives for how you can spice up your own animation, because the thing about doing this is that everyone's going to basically turn in the same animation. But I encourage you folks to edit the colors, to add some extra steps maybe if you want, and really get in there and enjoy what you are doing. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to unhide all of these things. I've got a brand new file over here that is just blank that I'm going to use for the duration of this challenge. And what I'm going to do is I am going to I'm just going to left click this topmost sprout that I'd like to select. I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to left click this bottommost sprout that I'd like to use, and I'm just going to drag it up to my new file. And the reason why I'm doing this, you don't have to do this, but I'm going to need to make sure that I don't have a background or anything on in this file in order for the animation to work properly. And I would like to have a backup file that has all of my current assets totally untouched and unedited, just in case I decide, you know, I don't like what I've done with them. I want to go back to the original files. But you can work right in here in the starter file if you prefer. All right, so now that I have this, I'm going to select these all over again. I'm going to say Control-T to transform. And I'm going to center this in the center of my file here. I'm going to maybe bump it over just a little bit. All right, so I have all of these. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to delete the background. Now, if you want a background on every single one of these sprouts, you would have to merge a background into them. So I would say make a new layer in between all of the layers, fill it with the background that you want, and then merge it to each of the sprouts so that each sprout state has the same background. I'm not going to do that today because I want to make sure I can get through the actual animation portion of this, but we might do it if we have time towards the end. All right, so it's actually very, very easy to make an animation in Photoshop if you already have your frames. If you are deciding that you maybe want to illustrate something of your own for this challenge, that's totally fine. You can go with that. But this is what I'm going to do. I thought I was going to center this. I think I'm actually going to bring this down to the bottom here, like so. And I'm going to make sure that all of the states show, and they do, because I might want to add a stem to this later. So now that I have all of my layers organized and placed where I want, I'm going to come up to Window. I'm going to scroll down until I see Timeline, and I'm going to click Timeline. And I prefer to drag my Photoshop Timeline window to the bottom there to just keep it away from the edges of my workspace. And I'm going to hit Create Frame Animation. Now, if you don't see Create Frame Animation, it's probably because Create Video Timeline is selected, and all you have to do is hit this little drop-down bracket arrow to make sure you select Create Frame Animation, and then go ahead and click that button. So what that's done, let me actually move over my camera so that you guys can see what's going on in the timeline. that did nothing. I'm going to just bump myself right here so that I'm also not blocking my layers, because the layers are also very important for this. So I'm going to be kind of like in the weird middle of the screen here. All right, so I've created a frame animation, and as you can see, it's just given me one frame here. That's basically what you can see on my canvas, which is not what I want. So I'm going to go ahead and click this little thing. You can see it right above my shoulder here, this little hamburger menu here. I'm going to open that, and I'm going to say make frames from layers. And as you can see, what that has done is it has made a frame in order from bottom to top in a row of all of the layers that I have in my file, and it's hidden everything but the first one. And then if I press play, what it does is it hides and unhides each layer immediately and goes through all of the different frames. And this looks okay. You can see it's kind of got its little growing things, and that's awesome. But I think that I kind of want to alter the length of time that this is going on. So I'm going to hit stop. And I'm going to go ahead and keep everything as 0 seconds, except this last one. I'm going to right click this time frame here, and I'm going to put 1 second on there, and then I'm going to try that. So then it runs through and it stops at the last sprout. And if you, maybe for your animation, if you think that you want to change the duration of all of them, you can actually mass select your layers. So if I select this one and hold shift, and then select this other frame, I can hit this one time and change the duration to 2 seconds, and it actually changes all of them that I have selected. So I'm going to go ahead and put no delay though, so it stays at 0, and then I have an animation. But now say you want to spice this up a little bit. Say you want to add like a little extra pizzazz to this that you did not have before. I'm going to hit Control Z, and I'm going to go back before I made my frame animation. And I'm going to hide all of the layers except for the final one. And I'm going to show you how you could jump into these files and actually kind of edit and alter them and create something of your own to add to this animation. So maybe in this example, I want to not just make this sprout just kind of bloom from that strange seed I drew for you. Maybe I want it to get a little bit taller than this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate that layer. I'm going to drag it upward because I want to add another frame where it's a little bit taller, like so. And then I'm going to, you can either hide this layer, or what I like to do when I'm making a new frame is I like to turn the previous frame on a lower opacity so I can keep in mind what was on the frame just before, so I can just nudge the new frame just a little bit so it has kind of a smooth transition. And what I'm going to do here, if you're an illustrator, you can actually get in here and probably mimic the drawing style that I've done for you and just illustrate something new. But if you're not an illustrator, then you could probably use the warp tool for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control T. I'm going to right click, because now I'm on free transform. I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to warp. And this is really awesome because not only can I start warping things outward like this, maybe I want to drag this out and down just to make it larger. But what I can also do is I can say split warp horizontally, and I can actually drag a line here and add a new place to start splitting this, and I can edit it however I want. I don't think I'm going to go too far with this. I think I'm going to leave it like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this little stem here. I'm going to say Control J to duplicate it, and I'm going to drag it down like that. And then I'm going to merge this together. So essentially what I've done is I've kind of altered it from its original state, so that you can see if I crank the opacity up on this previous one, you can see I've basically made the next step, the next stage of this out of a frame that I already had, in a way that you could do this if you are not really comfortable illustrating things. Now, I might actually bump this down just slightly. I'm going to move it just a little bit closer to its original state for the previous slide there. Boom. And I'm going to call this 8. Now, something that you'll notice that I did that I want you to pay special attention to is that I didn't just come in and start editing and making new layers while I still had my frame animation going here. Notice I went all the way back to before I created my frame animation, and now I'm adding new frames, and now I'm going to recreate the animation, which is very important. So now I have an extra frame that I've just created real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit Create Frame Animation. I'm going to come over to my hamburger menu over here. I'm going to say Make Frames from Layers. And now I've got more frames here. And I'm going to change the duration of this final one here to 1 second. And then I'm going to leave the other ones on a zero delay. And I'm going to hit play. There we go. And it just makes it even larger. So I could actually come in here and do this for a few things. In fact, if I wanted to, I could also come in and do something like this. Let's make a new layer. Let's make another layer, and let's, I'm actually going to use my stylus for this, but there are plenty of ways that you could do this without a stylus. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab kind of a yellow color, I think. I'm going to grab my brush, and I'm going to do like this strange little circle kind of peeking out here. And then I'm going to grab a darker color and do like an outline around it. Now, if you want to do this, and like I said, you're not an illustrator, you could do this with a shape tool. You could grab the elliptical shape tool and make a yellow circle, you know, make that yellow, and then give it a stroke of that dark color, and then put it over there and then duplicate just that one portion, or erase the rest, or mask out the rest, or however you like. I'm just trying to give you folks options. So I'm just going to have that poking out just like that. And I am going to, let's see, bump it up even more like this. And I am going to grab my, oops, I'm going to grab my stem here. Actually, there was more stem off of the canvas, so I'm going to leave it like that. And then maybe I'll make another one. I'll duplicate that again. So I'm going to call this one 9, and I'm going to call this one 10. And I am going to add even more to this. I'm going to make this like poke out even more. So I'm just adding another little curve, another little something something to it, and then I'm going to sample that dark color, and I'm going to bring that border around it again. And what I'm basically going to do here, and I don't know if I have all the time in the world to do as many frames as I would like, but I'm going to start, you know, hinting that maybe there's something like growing, like some kind of flower or something growing out of this sprout. And I'm also going to, let's tone down this one little leaf here. You know, maybe I want it to pull over a little bit. Maybe I want this to be more like down here, to kind of give it more room, almost like this, whatever is growing in this sprout is kind of giving a little bit of push to the leaves here, you know? And if you're unsure, if you really would like to dig into these files and kind of make something more than what I have given you, but maybe you don't know what exactly you should be adding to a frame animation, you know, what steps should you take? I highly recommend looking up reference for what it is you're trying to animate. Maybe you're going to animate something completely different to mine. Maybe you're going to animate like a bouncing ball or something. You know, maybe you're going to just go off on your own tangent and do something totally different. Look up some real life fact of how that item interacts with the world and gravity and what it actually looks like when it moves. So that when you go to create yours, you kind of have a better understanding of why you're making certain frames. And then I think that your animation will be a lot smoother. Now, this is not perfect by any stretch of the word. I only have just a handful of seconds left here, so maybe I'll do 1 or 2 more. Let's see. I'm gonna just move this one, start moving this one leaf down is what I'm gonna do. Just to reveal it. And if I had more time today, I would be maybe adding a lot more steps and a lot more detail to this. So I don't think that this would be like the final look of these. I'm just trying to kind of show you how you can just like get in there and break the mold of the starter file that I've prepared for you. You know, don't be shy, don't be afraid to kind of try out your own things. So I'm going to move that, and then we're going to do it one more time. I'm going to double click and call this layer 12. And then I'm going to kind of try and more fully reveal our little strange dot here. A dot in place of maybe a proper flower or something. And I'm going to put that color. Boom, boom, boom. And it's probably going to look a little rocky when we play this animation, but I think that you guys can get the idea of what I'm proposing here and what I'm trying to convey. And that's what matters for the tutorial for how to do this. So now I've created a bunch of different frames, and I have them all lined up here, and they're all in order. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit my hamburger menu. I'm going to say, first I'm going to hit create frame animation. Then I'm going to hit the hamburger menu, and I'm going to say make frames from layers. Boom. So now I have a 1 through 12 of all of my frames. I'm going to make this last one 1 second because I like it just to rest on the last frame before it goes back into everything. Now let's see if this is a disaster or not. Let's see how this goes. Not extra smooth, you know, but it works. I've made like a few extra frames, and it kind of reveals a little, I don't know, maybe like the beginning of some corn or the beginning of a sunflower or whatever. It can be whatever you want. But that is how I would go about like making weird little animations. I like to do this when I'm making like promos for my own stuff on Patreon, or when I'm doing illustrations for certain events. I did a bunch of them for the Spooks project I did in October, where I was just like, you know, I'm going to get into Photoshop Timeline, and I don't know what I'm doing. I really don't know, but I'm going to experiment with how to make frame animation, and I've been doing it for about a year now, and it's not like making a cartoon, but it's fun. It's so fun to be able to just add this little bit of extra pizzazz to a little sketch or drawing or whatever, and I can't wait to see what you guys do with it. I can't wait to see how you alter the files and how things happen. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to show you how to export it. All you have to do is go to File, Export, Save for Web Legacy, and it will bring up this window, which is hidden from you for some reason. And all you have to do is you can zoom out and preview it, and all you have to do is hit save, which I am blocking save. But save is right here. All you have to do is hit save, and make sure to leave it on the 256 colors, because you'll want it to have as much detail as you possibly can. And that is how you would create a little GIF animation. It'll save as a GIF file on your desktop or in your folder or wherever you choose to save this as. So thank you folks so much for joining me. I can't wait to see what animations you create. I hope that you enjoyed today's tutorial. I know I did. I did not know how how that was going to go, actually. Just decided, hey, let's, you know, experiment on the fly, adding some new frames to this animation, and I had a blast. I hope you guys have fun too, and please stick around because we've got more awesome streams coming up after me. I'm not the only one on today, so stick around and support our other hosts and designers that we have on the stream today, and I will see you folks later. Adios, everyone. Happy designing.